Hey everyone, welcome back. We're going to be diving into some really interesting stuff today.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it's a pretty hot topic these days. China's role in technology and, how it's affecting the whole world.
Absolutely. And we've got a great resource to dig into today.
Yeah, a report called Global China Technology. It was published by the Brookings Institution
Back in April 2020, right as the pandemic was hitting.
right at that pivotal moment. So, lots to unpack here. We're going to be looking at China's goals, their accomplishments, roadblocks they might be facing, and what all of this means for the U.S. and its allies.
Buckle up. It's a wild ride.
Definitely. So this report really highlights one major thing right off the bat.
Yeah, China's rapid technological advancement. It's not just that they're participating, they're becoming a dominant force in global competition. It's pretty remarkable.
So we're talking more than just catching up. They're actually surpassing the U.S. in some areas.
Exactly. For decades, the U.S. was the undisputed leader in technology. But the report makes it clear that things are shifting. China's strategic approach, which they've been implementing for a while now, is really starting to yield results.
Okay, so let's dive into that strategy. What's the secret sauce? What are they doing that's working so well?
Well, they've been laser-focused on three main areas. First, they've poured resources into domestic education, specifically science and engineering. The report highlights that between 2000 and 2015, the number of science and engineering degrees awarded by Chinese universities more than quadrupled. Think about that, quadrupled. That's an insane investment in human capital.
Wow, quadrupled. That's huge. Okay, so that's education. What about the other two prongs of their approach?
The second part is all about bringing overseas Chinese talent back home. They've created all these incentives and programs to attract highly skilled individuals who've studied or worked abroad.
So they're tapping into that global brain drain, bringing the expertise back home.
Yeah.
Smart.
Exactly. And finally, they're not shy about going after foreign talent directly, even if it ruffles some feathers along the way.
So build up your own talent pool and then entice the best minds from elsewhere to join the party. Makes sense. But how is this actually playing out in specific technologies? I know the report dives into that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Let's take 5G networks, for example. China is way ahead of the U.S. in terms of deployment. They've already blanketed major cities with 5G infrastructure, while the U.S. is still struggling with bureaucratic delays and security concerns around companies like Huawei.
So what does this mean for the average person? I mean, I know 5G is supposed to be faster, but does it really change the game that much?
Think of it this way. Imagine a world where all the cool new technologies, self-driving cars, smart cities, even things we haven't even thought of yet, are built on a foundation of Chinese technology. That's the potential impact of their 5G dominance. It's not just about faster downloads, it's about setting the standards for the future.
Wow. That's a pretty powerful position to be in. Setting the standards, shaking the future. The report even uses this term, a split digital ecosystem, right? Like the internet might actually fracture into two different spheres, with China potentially calling the shots on one side.
Exactly. It's a possibility we need to consider. And 5G is just one area where China's pulling ahead. Their progress in artificial intelligence and autonomous weapons is definitely something to keep an eye on.
Right. Those are some pretty powerful technologies with huge implications. And speaking of disrupting industries, I know the report also talks about China's push in biotechnology, right?
Absolutely. They have big ambitions to become a global leader in this field, and they're putting their money where their mouth is. This could lead to major breakthroughs in medicine and healthcare, but it also raises questions about competition and national security, particularly around sensitive data, like biomedical information. It's a complex landscape with both risks and opportunities.
Right. Those are some pretty serious ethical considerations, too. We definitely need to be thinking about the implications of all this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just about the technology itself, but also about how it's developed and used.
Yeah.
That's something the report really emphasizes.
Okay, well, this is fascinating stuff. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and delve into some more of the specifics from the report. Stay tuned.
You know, it's not just these specific technologies where we're seeing China making moves. The report also digs into their activities in outer space. And it's about way more than just, scientific exploration.
Okay, so we're talking satellite space stations, that kind of thing. What's the strategic angle there?
It's about military capabilities. The report highlights how China's People's Liberation Army is actually restructuring to integrate space, cyberspace, and electronic warfare into its operations.
So they're thinking about space as a new battleground.
Exactly. Satellites can provide crucial intelligence communication and even targeting capabilities. It's a whole new dimension of warfare.
So what's the U.S. doing about this? Is there a new space race brewing?
The report recommends developing a strategy to deter China's growing anti-satellite capabilities. Basically, it's about maintaining a balance of power in space and preventing a situation where one country can just knock out another's satellites without any consequences.
Yeah, that sounds pretty precarious. It's a delicate and potentially dangerous game for sure. But is it all about military might in space? What about peaceful uses of space exploration? Where does that fit in?
Right. The report does acknowledge the importance of international cooperation in addressing issues like space debris, managing space traffic, and ensuring the long-term sustainability of space activities. These are challenges that affect all of us, regardless of national borders.
Right. It's a reminder that the future of space exploration is a global endeavor for sure. Now, shifting gears a bit, I know the report also delves into the security of our electrical grids, which seems particularly relevant given our increasing reliance on technology. I mean, everything's connected these days.
Absolutely. As our grids become more complex and interconnected, they also become more vulnerable to cyber attacks, which could have devastating consequences. Imagine a widespread blackout caused by hackers. It could cripple entire cities and even countries.
Yeah, it's a pretty scary thought when you consider how much we rely on electricity for everything. So, where does China fit into this picture? Are they seen as a threat to our power grids?
Well, the report actually suggests that there's potential for mutual restraint between the U.S. and China when it comes to actions that could threaten each other's power grids. After all, neither country wants to experience a catastrophic blackout. It's a case where shared self-interest could lead to a more stable situation.
Right, nobody wins if the lights go out. It's a reminder that even in the midst of this technological rivalry, there are areas where cooperation is possible and even beneficial. But what about the differences in their approach to cybersecurity? I mean, we hear a lot about cyber attacks originating from Russia and China. Do they pose similar threats?
Well, the report points out a key distinction between China and Russia. Unlike Russia, which has a history of targeting Ukraine's power grid with cyber attacks, China has so far refrained from such actions.
So they're playing a different game.
It seems that way, at least for now. This suggests a possible opportunity for confidence-building measures and even collaboration between the U.S. and China on cybersecurity issues.
That's interesting. So even though there's competition, there's also potential for working together to address shared threats. It's a glimmer of hope in an otherwise tense landscape. Now, circling back to something we touched on earlier, I know the report emphasizes the strategic importance of the semiconductor industry. Can you remind us why this is such a critical area?
Absolutely. Semiconductors, those tiny chips that power our computers and smartphones, are the foundation of modern technology. The report argues that preventing China from achieving self-sufficiency in producing those state-of-the-art chips is crucial for global security and even human rights.
Okay, but why is it so important that the U.S. and its allies maintain control over chip production? What's the big deal if China makes their own?
These advanced chips are not just found in your laptop or phone. They're also essential components in sophisticated weapon systems and surveillance technologies. Imagine a scenario where authoritarian regimes have unrestricted access to the most advanced chips. It could have serious implications for democracy and freedom around the world. The report makes a strong case that democratic control over this industry is vital for safeguarding those values.
So it's not just about economic competition, it's about ensuring that this powerful technology doesn't end up in the wrong hands. That makes sense. So what's the best way to prevent China from dominating the semiconductor industry?
The report recommends a coordinated multilateral approach to export controls on the equipment used to manufacture these chips. Specifically, they suggest working closely with Japan and the Netherlands, who are key players in this field. By restricting China's access to this equipment, the goal is to slow down, if not completely halt their progress in developing cutting-edge chip manufacturing capabilities. It's a strategic move to maintain a technological edge and protect democratic values.
Right, so it's about using economic leverage to influence technological development, but wouldn't restricting exports hurt the economies of the U.S. and its allies? I mean, those companies make a lot of money selling that equipment.
The report actually argues the opposite. It points out that global demand for chips is largely independent of where they're produced. So if China can't get the equipment they need to make advanced chips, much of that production capacity would likely shift to democratic nations like the U.S., Taiwan, and South Korea. This would not only boost their economies, but also strengthen their technological leadership in the long run. It's a win-win scenario.
So by strategically controlling the flow of chip-making technology, the U.S. and its allies could actually benefit both economically and strategically. That's a fascinating insight into how global trade and technology are intertwined.
Exactly. And it underscores the importance of a coordinated approach working with allies to achieve shared goals. The report also highlights another fascinating aspect of China's technological ambitions: their use of various methods to acquire foreign technology.
Okay, spill the tea. What kind of methods are we talking about? Is this like industrial espionage or something?
Not necessarily espionage in the traditional sense, but they've been quite clever in utilizing things like scholarship programs, tech entrepreneurship competitions, and even foreign direct investment as avenues to acquire new technologies. It's a subtle but effective strategy.
So they're not just developing technology internally, they're actively seeking it out from other countries. That makes sense given their goal of becoming a global tech leader.
Precisely. And the report suggests that the U.S. and its allies need to be more aware of these tactics and assess the potential risks they pose to economic security. For example, they recommend considering the resilience of American and allied companies to withstand potential retaliation or loss of market share if they resist these Chinese efforts.
So it's a delicate balancing act, fostering innovation and attracting investment while also safeguarding national interests and intellectual property. It's a tough needle to thread.
It is, and the report stresses the importance of establishing clear rules and procedures to protect liberal democratic values and ensure long-term economic competitiveness. It's not about shutting down collaboration entirely, but rather about being strategic and discerning in our engagements with China.
So it's about being proactive, understanding the game they're playing, and setting clear boundaries to protect our interests. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I wanted to touch on one more area where the report highlights both competition and the potential for cooperation. It's a field that's often described as the next frontier of technology, and it has the potential to revolutionize everything.
Are you referring to their push into artificial intelligence?
Actually, I was thinking about their ambitions in the realm of quantum computing. It's a field with mind-boggling potential, but it also raises concerns about its implications for security and even the very fabric of reality as we understand it.
Yes, quantum computing. It's a bit like the Wild West of technology, full of promise and peril. And China is definitely staking its claim in this new frontier. They've invested heavily in quantum research and development, and they're making rapid progress. It's a clear indication that they see quantum technology as a key to future dominance.
So where do we stand in this quantum race? Is the U.S. keeping pace with China's advancements? Are we falling behind?
The report suggests that while the U.S. still holds a slight edge in quantum computing, China is closing the gap quickly. They're pouring resources into research, attracting top talent, and building world-class facilities. It's a clear indication that they see quantum technology as a key to future dominance.
Okay, so it's a tight race. But what are the potential implications of this quantum competition? What are the stakes here?
Well, on the one hand, quantum computing could revolutionize fields like medicine, material science, and artificial intelligence. It has the potential to solve problems that are currently impossible for even the most powerful classical computers. Imagine developing life-saving drugs or creating entirely new materials with unprecedented properties.
It sounds like science fiction, but with the potential to become reality. So the possibilities are pretty amazing. But what about the potential downsides? What are the risks associated with this technology? Could it be used for harmful purposes?
That's where things get a bit more concerning. Quantum computers, with their immense processing power, could potentially crack the encryption that protects our online communications, financial transactions, and even military secrets. It's a sobering thought that the very foundations of our digital security could be vulnerable to this emerging technology.
So it's a double-edged sword, incredible potential for good, but also the possibility of disruption and even danger. It sounds like we're entering uncharted territory with quantum computing. How do we even begin to navigate this new landscape?
Precisely. And the report emphasizes the need for careful consideration of both the opportunities and risks associated with this technology. It's a call for international collaboration to establish ethical guidelines, security protocols, and even potential arms control agreements to prevent a quantum arms race.
So even as we compete in this quantum realm, we need to work together to ensure that this powerful technology is used responsibly and for the benefit of humanity. It's a challenge that will require careful diplomacy, foresight, and a willingness to cooperate on a global scale.
Exactly. It's a reminder that technological advancements don't happen in a vacuum. They have profound implications for international relations, global security, and the very future of our world.
It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of this massive topic.
It's true. This report is packed with insights, and it really underscores how much China's technological rise is reshaping the world as we know it. It's a wake-up call for the U.S. and its allies.
So where do we go from here? What's the game plan for dealing with this new reality?
The report offers a few key recommendations. First, it emphasizes the importance of taking a long-term strategic approach. It's not about trying to contain China. It's about understanding their goals and developing effective strategies to compete and cooperate where it makes sense.
So it's about being smart and playing the long game rather than just reacting to each move China makes. What else does the report suggest?
Investment is key.
Mhm.
The U.S. needs to step up its game in terms of research and development, particularly in areas like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and biotechnology. We can't afford to fall behind. It's about fostering innovation and creating an environment where the best and brightest minds can thrive.
It sounds like a call to action, not just for the government, but for businesses, universities, and even individuals to prioritize innovation and invest in the future.
Absolutely. It's a collective effort. And the report also stresses the importance of collaboration, both domestically and internationally. We need to strengthen partnerships with our allies, share knowledge, and present a united front when it comes to addressing the challenges posed by China's technological ambitions.
So it's about building a network of like-minded nations that share our values and are committed to working together to shape the future of technology. What about engaging directly with China? Is there any room for dialogue in this competitive landscape?
The report does acknowledge the importance of maintaining open lines of communication with China. After all, we're living in an interconnected world, and many of the challenges we face, like climate change or global pandemics, require international cooperation. It's about finding ways to compete vigorously in some areas while still working together on shared interests.
It sounds like a delicate balancing act, finding that sweet spot between competition and cooperation. But ultimately, it's about shaping a future where technology is used responsibly and ethically for the benefit of all humankind.
Precisely. And that's where you come in. This deep dive has hopefully given you a better understanding of the complexities of China's technological rise and the challenges and opportunities it presents. It's an ongoing story, and staying informed, engaged, and thoughtful about these issues is more important than ever.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from China's ambitions in artificial intelligence and space exploration to the strategic importance of semiconductors and the potential for both competition and cooperation. It's a complex and constantly evolving landscape, but one thing is clear. China's technological rise is a defining feature of the 21st century, and its impact will continue to be felt for generations to come. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those tough questions because the future of technology is in our hands.